Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Inspirational People. Today we are back with an interesting journey of Arnold Schwarzenegger. As usual, please subscribe and click that bell to get notified whenever we post new videos, and lastly give it a thumbs up. Arnold Schwarzenegger's life is the quintessential tale of the American dream, proof that with determination, vision, and relentless effort, anything is possible. Born in a small Austrian village, Arnold dared to dream of a life far beyond the limitations of his humble beginnings. From lifting weights in a modest gym to lifting the spirits of millions as one of the most recognized figures in the world, his journey transcends the boundaries of sport, entertainment, and politics. At its core, Arnold's story is one of transformation. He redefined bodybuilding, becoming a global icon of physical excellence. He revolutionized Hollywood, breaking through language and cultural barriers to become one of the highest-paid actors of all time. He reshaped the political landscape, proving that a non-traditional candidate could lead California, the world's fifth-largest economy, with boldness and vision. And through it all, Arnold has remained an inspirational figure, a man who believes in the power of dreams and the resilience required to achieve them. But Arnold's journey wasn't without challenges. For every triumph, there were obstacles that tested his resolve: financial struggles, professional setbacks, personal mistakes, and public scrutiny. Yet, time and again, Arnold demonstrated the perseverance to overcome these hardships, turning them into lessons that fueled his relentless drive to succeed. This is the story of a man who defied expectations at every turn. It's a story of ambition and grit, of failures and redemption, of relentless self-belief and unshakable determination. Whether it's breaking records in bodybuilding, delivering blockbuster performances, or spearheading environmental reform as a politician, Arnold has approached each chapter of his life with the same philosophy: work hard, dream big, and never give up. The cold, rolling hills of post-war Austria were Arnold Schwarzenegger's first landscape, a stark contrast to the glamorous world he would later conquer. Arnold Alois Schwarzenegger was born on July 30, 1947 in Thaler village in Styria, Austria. Arnold's family lived in a small, cramped home that lacked modern amenities. His father, Gustav, was a strict disciplinarian, and his mother, Aurelia, was a caring but equally pragmatic homemaker. The Schwarzenegger's life was defined by discipline, hard work, and a deep respect for order. From an early age, Arnold understood hardship. His father's military background shaped their household into a microcosm of discipline. Gustav expected perfection, whether it was in schoolwork or physical labor. Mistakes were not tolerated, and punishment was swift. While his father's methods were harsh, they instilled in Arnold a resilience that would serve him throughout his life. Arnold wasn't the strongest or smartest boy in school, but he had a trait that set him apart: ambition. While others in Thal were content with their simple lives, Arnold dreamed of something more, something bigger than the small village that seemed to trap so many. His dreams were ignited when he first saw a picture of Reg Park, the British bodybuilder who starred in films as Hercules. To young Arnold, Reg was the embodiment of greatness, a man who had used his physique to achieve fame and fortune. From that moment on, Arnold was determined to follow in Reg's footsteps. At 15, Arnold encountered a moment that would change his life forever. His school teacher, noticing his interest in strength and fitness, introduced him to a local gym. It was a rudimentary setup, just a few weights and basic equipment, but it was enough to spark a fire in Arnold. The clanking of weights, the sweat, the effort, it all felt like a path to freedom. Every evening, after completing his chores, Arnold would sneak off to the gym and train until his muscles screamed in protest. Bodybuilding became his obsession. He devoured every magazine he could find, studying the techniques of champions like Reg Park, Steve Reeves, and Bill Pearl. Arnold didn't just want to emulate them, he wanted to surpass them. His friends mocked him for his ridiculous dreams, but Arnold didn't care. He had found his purpose. Arnold's newfound passion wasn't met with enthusiasm at home. Gustav, a traditionalist, believed in conventional careers like law enforcement or farming. Bodybuilding, in his eyes, was a frivolous pursuit. "Stop wasting your time with those weights," he would often say. But Arnold was undeterred. He hid his training from his father, using every spare moment to sculpt his body. Despite his father's disapproval, Arnold found an ally in his mother, Aurelia. She didn't fully understand his dreams, but she admired his dedication. Late at night, she would bring him food as he worked out in the basement, whispering words of encouragement. Arnold later credited his mother's quiet support as a key factor in his success. In school, Arnold wasn't a star student. He struggled with academics and often found himself at odds with teachers. But what he lacked in scholastic aptitude, he made up for with his relentless drive. When other students were playing or relaxing, Arnold was reading about nutrition, fitness, and goal setting. He was constantly seeking ways to improve himself, not just physically but mentally. Arnold's determination wasn't limited to the gym. He joined the local soccer team and excelled as a player, his athleticism quickly earning him a reputation as a hard worker. Yet, soccer wasn't enough to satisfy his hunger for greatness. He wanted to stand out, to be extraordinary, and bodybuilding was the stage where he knew he could shine. At 17, Arnold competed in his first bodybuilding contest. It was a small local event, but to him, it felt like the Mr. Olympia. Standing on stage, flexing his muscles under the bright lights, Arnold felt a surge of confidence he had never experienced before. He didn't win, but the experience solidified his resolve. He knew he was destined for more. Arnold began training with a ferocity that amazed even his mentors. He would wake up at dawn, lift weights before school, and then return to the gym in the evening for another grueling session. His dedication started paying off. By the time he was 18, Arnold had won his first title, Junior Mr. Europe. It was a small victory on the world stage, but for a boy from Thal, it was monumental. At 18, Arnold's journey took an unexpected turn when he was drafted into the Austrian army for mandatory service. For most young men, military service meant a pause in personal ambitions. But for Arnold, it was another opportunity to prove himself. During his training, Arnold continued to sneak in workouts, sometimes using makeshift weights when access to equipment was limited. When Arnold learned about the Junior Mr. Europe competition, he knew he had to compete, even if it meant risking punishment. He went AWOL to attend the event, traveling hundreds of miles to stand on that stage. His gamble paid off. Arnold won the title, cementing his place as a rising star in the bodybuilding world. However, his actions didn't go unnoticed by his superiors, and he faced disciplinary action upon returning to the base. Yet, even in the midst of punishment, Arnold felt a deep sense of pride. He had taken a risk for his dream, and it had paid off. As Arnold's fame in the bodybuilding world grew, so did his ambition. Austria, with its limited opportunities and small-town mentality, felt increasingly restrictive. Arnold dreamed of America, the land of opportunity, where champions like Reg Park had built their empires. He began saving every penny, working odd jobs to fund his journey to the United States. In 1966, Arnold received an invitation that would change his life. Joe Weider, the legendary promoter of bodybuilding, had noticed his talent and invited him to compete in America. It was the break Arnold had been waiting for. With a few $100s in his pocket and barely any English skills, Arnold boarded a plane to the United States, leaving behind everything he knew. When Arnold Schwarzenegger landed in the United States in 1968, it was like stepping into another world. Los Angeles, with its sprawling boulevards, palm trees, and endless blue skies, was nothing like the small Austrian village of Thal. For a young man who had grown up in a modest home without electricity for most of his childhood, America was dazzling and intimidating. He arrived with just a gym bag, a few $100s, and an unshakable dream of becoming the greatest bodybuilder in the world and, one day, a Hollywood star. Arnold's first days in Los Angeles were humbling. He struggled with the language, spoke in a heavy Austrian accent, and found himself lost in the vastness of the city. But if there was one thing Arnold was never short of, it was confidence. He believed in his vision so strongly that every obstacle seemed like a temporary challenge, not a roadblock. Joe Weider, the man who had invited him to America, saw the same fire in Arnold that the young bodybuilder saw in himself. Weider became more than just a mentor to Arnold, he became a father figure. He provided Arnold with opportunities to compete, arranged sponsorships, and gave him a modest stipend to live on while he trained. Arnold's new home was a small apartment, shared with Franco Columbu, a fellow bodybuilder from Sardinia. The two became fast friends, pushing each other to their limits both in the gym and in life. Arnold's training regimen was relentless. He would train twice a day, sometimes for 4 to 6 hours, in Gold's Gym in Venice, California. This gym, known as the Mecca of bodybuilding, became Arnold's sanctuary. Surrounded by like-minded individuals, Arnold felt at home. He quickly made a name for himself, not just for his massive physique but also for his outgoing personality and ability to charm anyone he met. Despite his rapid progress in bodybuilding, Arnold faced cultural challenges. His thick accent and unconventional appearance made him stand out in ways that weren't always positive. People mocked his dream of becoming a Hollywood star, telling him his accent was too heavy, his name too long, and his physique too bulky. Agents advised him to return to Austria and pursue a normal career, but Arnold refused to be discouraged. He enrolled in college to improve his English and took public speaking classes to refine his communication skills. Determined to fit into American culture, Arnold watched hours of television, mimicking the way actors spoke and behaved. He knew that mastering the language and culture was essential for achieving his goals. Slowly but surely, his hard work paid off. He began speaking with more confidence and started to win over skeptics. Arnold's dedication bore fruit when, at just 20 years old, he won his first professional bodybuilding title, the 1968 Mr. Universe in Miami. This victory made Arnold the youngest person to ever hold the title, a record that still stands. Winning Mr. Universe was a milestone. It validated his decision to leave Austria and chase his dreams in America. But Arnold was far from satisfied. He wasn't content with just being good, he wanted to be the best. The victory opened doors for Arnold, but it also brought more scrutiny. Critics doubted his staying power, labeling him a one-hit wonder. Arnold took their doubt as fuel. He doubled down on his training, focused on his weaknesses, and began studying the psychology of competition. He realized that bodybuilding was as much about mental toughness as physical strength. After conquering Mr. Universe, Arnold set his sights on the most coveted title in bodybuilding, Mr. Olympia. The reigning champion, Sergio Oliva, known as the Myth, was a larger-than-life figure who had dominated the competition for years. Many considered him unbeatable, but Arnold relished the challenge. He studied Oliva's techniques, trained harder than ever, and visualized himself holding the Mr. Olympia trophy. In 1969, Arnold competed in his first Mr. Olympia. He came in second to Oliva, but the defeat didn't crush him, it motivated him. Arnold saw his weaknesses on stage and vowed to return stronger. Over the next year, he transformed his physique, adding size, improving his symmetry, and honing his posing routines to perfection. He also worked on his mindset, learning how to outsmart his competitors with psychological tactics. In 1970, Arnold returned to the Mr. Olympia stage with a vengeance. He faced Oliva again, but this time, he was ready. Arnold's performance was flawless, and his confidence was palpable. When the judges announced his name as the winner, Arnold became the youngest Mr. Olympia in history, a record he still holds. Arnold's victory at Mr. Olympia solidified his status as a bodybuilding legend, but he knew that his success couldn't stop at trophies. He wanted to bring bodybuilding into the mainstream, to show the world that it wasn't just about lifting weights but about discipline, focus, and self-improvement. He began writing columns for Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazines, sharing his training tips and philosophies. Arnold's charisma and articulate explanations made him a favorite among readers. He also started giving seminars and making appearances at bodybuilding events around the world. Arnold wasn't just a competitor, he was becoming the face of the sport. While dominating the bodybuilding world, Arnold never lost sight of his ultimate dream, becoming a movie star. Between competitions, he began taking acting classes, working tirelessly to improve his craft. He studied the greats like Marlon Brando and Clint Eastwood, analyzing their performances and learning how to bring emotion to the screen. Arnold also started networking in Hollywood, attending events and introducing himself to producers and directors. Most of them laughed at his ambitions, telling him he would never make it. But Arnold didn't let the rejection faze him. He knew that his unique appearance and charisma could one day set him apart. Amidst his professional pursuits, Arnold also focused on personal growth. He was a voracious reader, devouring books on self-help, psychology, and business. He believed in the power of knowledge and often credited his reading habits for his ability to think strategically and stay ahead of the competition. Arnold also developed an entrepreneurial mindset. With the money he earned from competitions and endorsements, he began investing in real estate. His first property, a small apartment building, became the foundation of a real estate empire that would make him a millionaire long before his Hollywood breakthrough. By the end of the 1960s, Arnold had established himself as a force to be reckoned with in bodybuilding and as a rising personality in the fitness world. But he knew this was just the beginning. With his unshakable work ethic, strategic thinking, and unwavering belief in himself, Arnold was ready to take on the world. By the early 1970s, Arnold Schwarzenegger had established himself as the dominant force in bodybuilding. His victory at the 1970 Mr. Olympia marked the beginning of an unparalleled winning streak. But Arnold was never one to rest on his laurels. While others might have been content with collecting trophies, Arnold saw bodybuilding as a means to a greater end. He wanted to redefine what it meant to be a bodybuilder, take the sport to mainstream audiences, and use his success as a springboard for an even larger career in Hollywood. Winning his first Mr. Olympia title in 1970 wasn't the culmination of Arnold's bodybuilding journey, it was the starting point. He continued to dominate the sport, winning the title every year from 1971 to 1975. Each victory brought new challenges, as competitors tried to dethrone him by improving their physiques and posing routines. Arnold, however, always stayed one step ahead. Arnold approached bodybuilding like a chess game. He didn't just focus on building muscle, he studied his competitors meticulously. He would assess their strengths and weaknesses, then tailor his own presentation to overshadow them. Bodybuilding is not just a sport, it's an art form, Arnold often said. He believed the way he presented himself on stage, his confidence, smile, and ability to engage the audience was just as important as his physique. One of his most famous battles came during the 1974 Mr. Olympia competition. Arnold faced Lou Ferrigno, a towering bodybuilder who was younger and physically larger. Despite the hype surrounding Ferrigno, Arnold outmaneuvered him by showcasing his superior posing, symmetry, and stage presence. The contest was immortalized in the documentary Pumping Iron, 1977, which would later catapult Arnold to worldwide fame. Arnold's training during this period was legendary. He trained at Gold's Gym in Venice Beach, California, often referred to as the Mecca of bodybuilding. His workouts were grueling, lasting up to 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. He focused on high-volume training, pushing his muscles to failure with relentless sets and representatives, but Arnold's success wasn't just about physical effort, it was about his mental approach. Arnold was a firm believer in visualization. He would spend hours imagining himself holding the Mr. Olympia trophy, hearing the applause of the audience, and seeing himself as the undisputed champion. "The mind is the limit," Arnold once said. "As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it as long as you really believe 100%. Arnold also emphasized the importance of goal setting. He broke his ambitions into smaller, manageable steps. Whether it was increasing his bicep size or improving his chest definition, Arnold tackled each goal with laser-like focus, knowing that every small improvement brought him closer to his ultimate vision. While Arnold was breaking records on stage, he was also working to elevate the sport of bodybuilding. Before Arnold, bodybuilding was a niche activity, largely confined to gym enthusiasts and underground competitions. Arnold wanted to change that. He saw bodybuilding as a metaphor for self-improvement, a discipline that anyone could adopt to transform their lives. He became the unofficial ambassador for the sport, appearing on talk shows, giving interviews, and writing articles for fitness magazines. Arnold had a natural ability to connect with people, and his charismatic personality won over skeptics who had previously dismissed bodybuilding as superficial or strange. Arnold's efforts to popularize bodybuilding culminated in the release of Pumping Iron in 1977. The documentary followed Arnold's journey to his 6th Mr. Olympia title, providing a behind-the-scenes look at the rivalries, sacrifices, and dedication of top bodybuilders. Arnold's larger-than-life persona stole the show. Audiences were captivated by his charm, humor, and confidence. The film not only made Arnold a household name but also brought bodybuilding into the cultural mainstream. By 1975, Arnold had achieved everything he set out to do in bodybuilding. He had won 7 Mr. Olympia titles and was widely regarded as the greatest bodybuilder of all time. But Arnold wasn't satisfied with being the best in one field, he wanted to conquer new challenges. After winning the 1975 Mr. Olympia, Arnold announced his retirement from competitive bodybuilding, leaving the sport at the peak of his career. Arnold's decision to retire shocked the bodybuilding community, but for him, it was a natural progression. He had always seen bodybuilding as a stepping stone to bigger opportunities, and now it was time to focus on his next dream, Hollywood. Arnold's transition to acting was anything but smooth. Hollywood wasn't ready for someone like him, a 6 feet 2 inches bodybuilder with a thick Austrian accent and an unpronounceable last name. Casting agents rejected him repeatedly, telling him he was too big, too foreign, and too different to succeed as an actor. Arnold, however, refused to be discouraged. He approached acting with the same determination he had applied to bodybuilding. He enrolled in acting classes, studied screenwriting and film production, and practiced his English tirelessly. He also began networking in Hollywood, attending parties and events to introduce himself to industry insiders. His first major break came in 1970 with the film Hercules in New York. The role was small, and Arnold's performance was awkward. His accent was so thick that his lines had to be dubbed. But Arnold saw it as a learning experience. He analyzed his mistakes and used them as opportunities to grow. While pursuing his acting career, Arnold continued to expand his business ventures. He invested in real estate, purchasing apartment buildings in Santa Monica and Los Angeles. By the mid-1970s, Arnold was a millionaire, thanks to his savvy investments. He also launched a successful mail-order business, selling fitness equipment and instructional booklets. Arnold's entrepreneurial spirit wasn't just about making money, it was about building a foundation for his future. He knew that financial independence would give him the freedom to pursue his dreams without compromise. It also gave him the confidence to take risks, knowing he had a safety net if things didn't work out. By the end of 1975, Arnold had established himself as more than just a bodybuilder. He was a businessman, a budding actor, and a cultural icon. He had proven that with hard work, discipline, and an unrelenting belief in oneself, it was possible to defy expectations and achieve the impossible. Arnold's journey from the bodybuilding stage to the silver screen was just beginning, but his story had already inspired millions. He had shown the world that greatness wasn't reserved for the lucky or the privileged, it was available to anyone willing to put in the work. Arnold Schwarzenegger's decision to transition from bodybuilding to acting was met with widespread skepticism. Many viewed him as just another athlete trying to break into Hollywood, a novelty whose career would fizzle out. Casting agents often laughed him out of auditions, citing his bulky physique, thick Austrian accent, and unusual name as insurmountable obstacles. But Arnold had faced doubt and rejection before. Each no fueled his drive to prove the doubters wrong. Arnold didn't just want to be an actor, he wanted to be a movie star. And he had no intention of letting conventional wisdom dictate what was possible. After retiring from competitive bodybuilding in 1975, Arnold poured all his energy into acting. He took intensive acting lessons, focusing on diction, emotional delivery, and mastering the nuances of screen presence. At the same time, he studied filmmaking, reading books on directing and production to better understand the industry. Arnold also worked hard to refine his English. To soften his Austrian accent, he practiced speaking by mimicking American actors, carefully studying their pronunciation. While many told him to abandon his accent altogether, Arnold had a different perspective. He believed it would one day become his signature. His first few years in Hollywood were a string of small roles and disappointments. His early appearance in Hercules in New York, 1970, had been poorly received, and many critics dismissed him as nothing more than a bodybuilder playing dress-up. But Arnold refused to let the criticism deter him. He knew that success wouldn't happen overnight. Arnold also faced a dilemma. Hollywood's perception of him was narrowly confined to physical roles. Producers wanted him to play the big guy, often without substance or character depth. But Arnold didn't want to be typecast. He wanted roles that would challenge him and allow him to grow as an actor. In the late 1970s, Arnold took a strategic approach to his career. He realized he couldn't immediately compete with established Hollywood stars, so he focused on roles that played to his strengths. He accepted a part in the critically acclaimed documentary Pumping Iron, 1977, which chronicled his preparation for the 1975 Mr. Olympia competition. The film not only showcased his physical prowess but also his wit, charm, and larger-than-life personality. Pumping Iron became a surprise hit, and Arnold's charisma stole the spotlight. Audiences loved his playful confidence and ability to disarm rivals with his humor and mind games. The documentary turned Arnold into a cultural phenomenon, earning him fans who had never set foot in a gym. More importantly, it proved that he could hold the attention of an audience. Capitalizing on this newfound fame, Arnold began appearing on talk shows, charming hosts and audiences alike with his humor and motivational stories. He used every opportunity to showcase himself not just as a bodybuilder but as an entertainer with crossover appeal. Arnold's big break came in 1982 with Conan the Barbarian. Directed by John Milius and produced by Dino De Laurentiis, the film was based on the fantasy hero created by Robert E. Howard. Arnold's imposing physique and rugged appearance made him the perfect fit for the role of Conan, a fierce warrior seeking revenge and redemption in a brutal, mythical world. Landing the role wasn't easy. Arnold had to convince the producers that he wasn't just a bodybuilder but an actor capable of carrying a major motion picture. He trained rigorously for the role, not just physically but also in skills like sword fighting, horseback riding, and choreography. He even spent months perfecting his voice and delivery for the film's dramatic lines. When Conan the Barbarian hit theaters in 1982, it was a massive success. Audiences were captivated by Arnold's commanding presence and physicality. The film grossed over $100 million worldwide, cementing Arnold's status as a leading man in Hollywood. More importantly, Conan proved that Arnold's unique traits, his accent, his size, and his intensity weren't liabilities, they were assets. He didn't need to fit the traditional mold of a Hollywood star because he was creating his own mold. Arnold's success with Conan the Barbarian marked the beginning of a new era in Hollywood. The 1980s were a golden age for action films, and Arnold was poised to become the face of the genre. His blend of physical dominance, charisma, and ability to perform stunts made him the perfect fit for the larger-than-life roles that audiences craved. We will continue from here in our next video to complete the inspirational story of Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, don't forget to subscribe to help us make more videos like this.